3 surprises and 30 miles of road ride to start the new year. I pulled into the parking lot and didn't have to wait long before Keith Moores and his son Ezra and Pat Gish joined me. Surprise number 1 soon followed. Dave Dilk pulled in. In a later discussion, we decided Dave rode with me once 13 years earlier, but otherwise we'd not ridden together for 17 years. We used to be regular riding partners, but he entered that phase of life where family and career take priority and fell away from cycling. In the last year or so, he's been getting back into riding, and it was great to see him again. Climbing Hatcher Hill is tough, especially for Keith. Imagine strapping 35 pounds of dumbbells to your top tube and riding up an extended 7% grade, and you get some sense of what Keith faced with Ezra on his top tube.
We're out already, and we just started.
No alternative, such as a trail bike, is a great answer. Keith and Ezra usually ride single track together, and their infrequent road rides are longer than a 3-year-old's legs can handle. We were less than 8 miles into the ride when surprise number 2 emerged, which was the weather. The day had not warmed up as promised. Ezra was complaining of being cold, so Keith and Ezra were turning back. Keith took off the only clothes he could, his arm warmers, and put them on Ezra. He also pulled Ezra's hood up on the little guy's head. We parted ways, and I could hear Ezra howling in protest as the distance between us grew. Cold or not, Ezra was not keen on abandoning, but Daddy knew best. A bit later, we got a group text from Keith confirming they'd made it safely back to their car. The rest of the ride was uneventful until the end. Surprise number 3 started as a puzzle when we pulled back into the parking lot at the end of the ride and saw a Jeep with a bike on the back. Mitch Teelking had misread the start time. He realized his error when he pulled into the lot shortly before we rolled in and saw familiar vehicles but no familiar faces. We invited him to lunch with us, but he came to ride and he put together a nice ride of his own. So Mitch rode, Dave went home, Pat and I had lunch before we split ways. The ride was right at 30 miles with 1,300 feet of climbing and 2.5 hours of ride time. It was a great way to start the new year. My thanks to those supporting my efforts. You can do so on a monthly basis through Patreon or with a one-time contribution through PayPal. Links are in the description. Dave got a flat as we rode through Clifty Falls State Park. This was not a surprise after riding nearly 30 miles of cinder-strewn roads. The 3 of us split repair chores and soon finished the ride.